After wrapping up a 2-week business trip in France, Alexis Williams found herself in the familiar confines of a yellow cab from JFK. She was exhausted, and as the city lights blazed past, her phone buzzed with a message from her husband Vincent, who is currently in Australia. His words, "Did you arrive safely? Be careful with the weather. The taxi might take a bit," brought a weary smile to her face. Despite the years and the distances that often separated them in their 6 years of marriage, Vincent's consistent care was a comfort. She texted back, "Landed safely. Heading home now. Talk tomorrow," before the cab rolled into a snow-covered Upper East Side. The streets were tranquil as the snowfall grew heavier, blanketing the roads with about 4 inches of fresh snow, lending an eerie feel to the night. Alexis's cab halted in front of her brownstone, a place steeped in personal history and emotional significance. It had been her grandmother's, passed down to Alexis despite the disputes from other family members. Her grandmother had been adamant. This house must go to Alexis. She needs a place that's truly her own. But as she stepped out into the snowy night, a chill ran down her spine that wasn't from the cold. An unfamiliar BMW was parked in her spot. Paying the cab driver and moving towards her front door, she noticed something amiss: a new doorknob, a changed lock. Her heart sank. Her keys, now useless in her hand, confirmed her fears. As she reached to try her key anyway, the door swung open. "Finally back, huh?" The voice grated on her nerves. Liam, her half-brother, stood in the doorway with a smug look. The same Liam who had been a thorn in her side since their father remarried a decade ago. "What is happening here, Liam?" Alexis's voice was icy, mirroring the chill in the air. "Just come in, I'll explain," he replied, stepping aside. Alexis hesitated, then entered. The apartment she loved was transformed. Cheap, modern furniture replaced the cherished antiques, and the walls where her grandmother's photos once hung were bare, now adorned with pictures of strangers, Liam's family. From deeper within, she heard the cheerful banter of a woman and a child. Liam's wife, Susan, emerged, their young son in tow. "Oh, Alexis, welcome back. We thought we would update the place a bit to make it safer for the kids." Alexis was astounded. "My furniture? My apartment? Who allowed this?" "It was Mom's idea. We needed more space and you were away. It just made sense," Liam interjected as if it settled the matter. Alexis took out her phone, her face set. "I'm calling the police." "Really? For a family matter?" Liam scoffed. "This stopped being about family the moment you decided to erase every trace of Dad and take over my home without consent," Alexis retorted, her voice sharp as the cold night. "I'm giving you until tomorrow to move out. Expect a notice from my lawyer." Ignoring Susan's pleading look and Liam's protests, Alexis stepped back into the snowy night, the falling snowflakes echoing her turbulent emotions. As she walked away, Liam's shouts faded into the silence of the snow-covered evening. Alexis was in a taxi, barely holding back her tears, as she dialed her stepmother Martha. She had just arrived at the Ritz-Carlton in Boston, a place that felt both comforting and cold. As she stood by the hotel room window, watching the snow blanket the city and people bustling to their destinations, the dark room mirrored her somber mood. After a brief hesitation, she pressed the call button. Martha answered on the third ring. "Well, Alexis, I finally hear from you," she said with her usual pretense of warmth. Alexis's frustration grew. "Why are Liam and Susan in my apartment?" she demanded. Martha's tone was reproachful. "Alexis, stop this hostility. If your father were here, he'd want you to support your family. Don't bring Dad into this," Alexis shot back. "Ever since he passed, you've been trying to edge me out. Now you talk of family?" There was a pause, and then Martha sighed. "You always play the victim, Alexis. Consider Liam, he lost his job. Why wasn't I told? Why let them into my apartment without asking me? I tried to contact you. I left a voicemail and emailed you, but you never responded," Martha retorted. Checking her email, Alexis found the vague message. "And you're saying I'm moving to Australia? Starting over with Vincent?" "That's what Liam told me. He talked to your assistant," Martha explained, somewhat flustered. "My assistant?" Who gave them that right? Alexis's voice was icy. Don't be upset over such trivial things. What matters now is dealing with the situation. Liam has kids. Do you want them out on the streets in the Massachusetts winter? Martha argued. Alexis took a deep breath, recognizing the manipulation. If Liam can't manage, that's on him, not me. How heartless do you think I am? Is this what Dad taught us? Now you talk about values? Alexis laughed bitterly. Have you forgotten what you did after Dad died? Removing his pictures, turning his study into your yoga room? Trying to erase him? That's different, Martha snapped. I was moving on. But you? You're stuck in the past. That's enough, Alexis said, hanging up. Seconds later, her phone rang again. It was Martha. Alexis blocked the call and did the same with Liam's number. Another call came from an unknown number, probably Susan. She ignored it. Contacting the hotel reception, she requested, "Please do not forward any calls to me tonight." After the call, Alexis sat on the bed, gathering her thoughts for the fight ahead. She needed to talk to her lawyer, check her apartment's current market value, and most importantly, explain everything to Vincent in Australia. Taking another deep breath, she dialed her husband's number. "Vincent, are you there? It's late, I know, but something terrible has happened." On the other end, Vincent listened silently, his concern palpable, a stark contrast to Martha and Liam. As Alexis recounted the events, she felt a slight ease. The battle was just beginning, but at least she wasn't alone. Despite the turmoil, Alexis felt a wave of relief knowing she had solid support. Vincent's words echoed in her mind, "I support your decision. If you need me, I'll come over right away." Hanging up the phone, she opened her laptop and composed an email to one of the most reputable real estate law firms in Massachusetts. The subject line was direct and clear, seeking legal advice on unlawful occupation. The next morning, Alexis was at the bustling Boston police station explaining her predicament to an officer who looked tired but attentive. "So, your half-brother entered your apartment without your permission and even changed the locks," he summarized, a tinge of annoyance in his voice. "Yes, it's a clear case of unlawful entry," Alexis replied. The officer nodded slowly. "Sounds like a family issue. I recommend settling this civilly." Alexis had expected such a response and left the station, the icy morning air biting at her cheeks. Her phone showed several missed calls, likely from Susan, which she chose to ignore. Instead, she dialed another number. "This is Edwards' law firm. I have an appointment with Mr. Arthur Edwards. I'm Alexis Williams." 20 minutes later, she was sitting in the reception area of a high-rise building in Midtown. Arthur Edwards, a lawyer known for his keen insight and sharp gaze, greeted her. "I understand your situation," he said, reviewing the documents she provided. "Could you show me the documents related to your father's estate?" Edwards asked. Alexis handed over the documents detailing the estate division after her father's death, her agreement with her stepmother, and, crucially, her grandmother's will. "As your grandmother intended to leave this apartment solely to you," Edwards remarked as he read the will, even against the objections of other heirs. He then picked up another document, his expression shifting. "This is intriguing," he noted, examining the record of her stepmother's financial transactions. "Your stepmother has been withdrawing funds regularly from the estate. However, the uses of these funds are suspicious." "What do you mean?" Alexis asked, leaning forward. "There are records of transfers to multiple offshore accounts. Many of these transactions should have required your consent." Alexis's anger flared. "I never gave my consent." "I thought so," Edwards said, picking up a pen. "This is more than just unlawful entry. There's a high possibility of embezzlement, and your half-brother's sudden financial distress might be connected. We need to investigate. First, let's apply for a temporary restraining order and legally demand their eviction from your apartment. Simultaneously, we'll start a detailed investigation into your stepmother's financial transactions." Alexis nodded. "What about the costs?" "The retainer fee is $95,000. However, if embezzlement is proven, there's a high likelihood of recovering a much larger amount." Alexis promptly wrote a check. As she was leaving, Edwards called out, "One more thing. Your stepmother and your half-brother probably aren't expecting you to take legal action. That element of surprise is our advantage." Alexis managed a slight smile. "I understand." Leaving the office, she headed to her next appointment with Willie, a top Boston real estate agent and her college classmate. "Alexis, it's been a while," Willie greeted her warmly. "What's happened? You made such a sudden appointment." Alexis briefly explained the situation. Willie's expression brightened. "The timing couldn't be better. The real estate value in your district has significantly increased over the past 3 years. And just last week, a major investment fund inquired about buying properties in the area." Alexis paused for a moment before starting the process of selling her apartment, despite it being listed above the market value. She knew buyers were still interested. Taking a deep breath, she contemplated the fate of the current tenants, aware that they were facing eviction due to legal actions already set in motion. Later that day, from her hotel room, Alexis video-called her friend Vincent in Australia. His reassuring voice helped solidify her resolve. "You're making the right decision," Vincent encouraged. Soon after their call, a new message popped up from Edwards' law firm. They had uncovered significant new details about her stepmother's financial dealings and needed to meet first thing in the morning. "These are significant findings," Alexis typed back, a mix of anticipation and dread settling in. She lay down, the weight of the upcoming battle urging her to rest. As she drifted off, snow began to fall outside her window, casting a cleansing calm over the city. The next morning, the conference room at Edwards' law firm was bathed in the soft light of dawn. Documents detailing years of financial mismanagement by her stepmother, Martha, covered the table. "We've thoroughly investigated her activities over the past 6 years since your father passed away," Edwards explained gravely. "Martha started transferring small amounts initially, but it quickly escalated to over $4 million, much of it without your knowledge." Alexis's heart raced as she learned that some of this money had been funneled into Liam's account. "Was Liam involved?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "It appears so," Edwards confirmed. "His recent unemployment was due to an embezzlement scandal at his previous company. We've verified this with his former employer." Silence filled the room as Alexis processed the revelations. Looking out the window, she gathered her thoughts before making her decision. "I want everything brought to light, including filing criminal charges," she declared firmly. "Understood," Edwards nodded. "Let's start by addressing the unlawful occupation of your apartment." An hour later, Alexis was outside her apartment, waiting as the locksmith put the finishing touches on the new locks. She checked her phone. Edwards' assistant confirmed everything was set. "The police are ready to assist if needed," the assistant informed her. Once inside, the sounds of a television came from the living room. "Leave," Alexis stated calmly as Liam and Susan turned in surprise. "Liam, how did you get in?" Liam stood, confused and defensive. "This is my house. You have 2 weeks to vacate, or I'll take legal action." "That's impossible," Susan exclaimed, concern for her children evident in her voice. "Susan, did you know Liam was fired for embezzlement? And Martha has siphoned over $4 million from my father's estate, some of which went into your account," Alexis revealed, turning the confrontation up a notch. "That's a lie." Liam protested loudly. "I have all the evidence," Alexis countered, holding her ground as she displayed the bank records and transaction histories on her phone. Susan's face shifted from confusion to shock as she turned to Liam. "Is this true, Liam?" "It's not what it looks like," Liam stuttered, "but the damage was done. I'm taking the kids to my parents." "I can't stay with a liar," Susan declared, her decision resolute as she began to pack. "What have you done?" Liam glared at Alexis, anger and betrayal written across his face. "I just told her the truth about what you and Martha have been up to," Alexis responded calmly, unyielding. "You have 2 weeks. Martha will be arrested tomorrow for embezzlement." As Susan returned, carrying one of their children, Liam's face paled at the reality closing in around him. The police were already moving forward, and his role as an accomplice would soon be under investigation. The sound of packing continued in the background, marking the end of an era of deceit. When Alexis confronted Liam, her voice shaking slightly, she demanded to know why he had tampered with her apartment locks. Liam didn't turn to face her as he explained. It was Mom's idea. She even forged her signature to authorize the change. The contractor didn't question it. After all, who would suspect a mother of trying to usurp her own daughter's property? Liam's words revealed a chilling strategy. She wanted to trap you into giving up your control over the inheritance. That way, the embezzlement she was involved in would never see the light of day. With those heavy words hanging in the air, Liam walked away. Later that night, Alexis sat alone in the dim light of the hotel bar, nursing a whiskey. On the television, the news of Martha's arrest played. The defendant, investment banker Miss Alexis Williams, identified the fraud and alerted the authorities, uncovering years of embezzlement, the newscaster reported. As the bartender reached to change the channel, Alexis stopped him. "Leave it, please." She watched a complex mix of relief and vindication in her eyes as images of Martha in handcuffs filled the screen. Her phone buzzed with a message from Vincent. "I'm flying back tomorrow. Let's get through this together." Alexis managed a faint smile. Indeed, this marked the end of one chapter and the beginning of another in her life. The following morning's newspaper headline read, "The Vincent Case, Betrayal in High Society for $1 million Embezzlement, a Family Torn by Greed." Alexis absorbed the words, then quietly closed the newspaper as a new day dawned. 3 years later, the digital edition of the Massachusetts Times reported, "Martha Vincent sentenced to 8 years in $4 million embezzlement case, appeal denied." Another tab on her screen showed a different story. Former finance elite starts new life at a used car dealership in Delaware, embezzlement accomplice on path to rehabilitation. Vincent, who had quietly entered the room, asked, "Still care about it?" Alexis replied, "It's not that I care. I'm just making sure that my decision was right." Life buzzed outside her office in Australia, where she had moved to start anew, now heading Merrill Lynch's Asia division, a significant leap in her career. Her phone vibrated with a message from an unknown number. "I've completed a rehabilitation program and am living honestly now. I'm not asking for forgiveness, just wanted you to know." Vincent noticed her hesitation. "Going to reply?" "No," Alexis said resolutely. "That chapter is over." That night, on her balcony overlooking the sparkling Australian skyline, Alexis enjoyed a glass of wine alone. Another letter arrived from Martha, now claiming she had terminal cancer with only 7 months left. Vincent, knowing her struggle, said, "It might be different this time." Alexis's expression wavered under the moonlight, but only for a moment. "It doesn't change the past. Just because she's dying doesn't erase what she did." "I know," Vincent acknowledged. "I just wanted you to know you have a choice." Indeed, Alexis had choices. She could meet Martha one last time, perhaps attempt reconciliation. But was it necessary? The next morning, Alexis arrived at the office earlier than usual. Her secretary, Judy, handed her an envelope from Susan. Inside, a recent photo of Susan and her son, now grown and in school. On the back, a brief note read, "Thank you for telling me the truth back then." Alexis placed the photo in her drawer. Susan had moved on. Liam was confronting his past, and Alexis, amidst new beginnings, continued to forge her path forward. Over the past 3 years, Alexis has undergone a profound transformation. One evening, she made a decisive move that marked a clear step forward in her journey. She chose to return a letter from Martha, unopened, attaching a brief note that read, "I am no longer a part of your story." Vincent, ever the supportive friend, questioned her decision with a gentle, "Are you sure?" "Yes," Alexis affirmed, her voice steady. "This is the path I've chosen." That weekend, the pair found themselves enjoying brunch on the sunny shores of Sentosa Island. The warm sea breeze fluttered around them as if to signal the start of a new chapter. It was there, amidst the serene landscape, that Alexis shared a new vision with Vincent. "I have an idea for a new project," she began, her eyes reflecting a mix of excitement and resolve. "I'm thinking of starting a foundation to support victims of financial crimes." Vincent's response was immediate, his eyes lighting up. That's a wonderful idea. Yes, I want to use what I've gone through to help others, Alexis continued. The shadows of her past experiences had faded, replaced by the strength and clarity of her newfound purpose. Her face showed no traces of the past's burdens, only the vigor to move forward and embrace a fresh mission. Her story, it seemed, was just beginning anew. This was not just a new chapter in her life, but an entirely new volume, where her past trials would fuel her commitment to aid those facing challenges similar to what she had overcome.